I'm back! But where's my PS5 I ordered?
Hello, everyone. I'm back, and it's 2021. And wow, it's been a few weeks since I've been off, almost a month now, I think. Sorry about that. I'll get into that later in the video. But I wanted to start this year off getting ready to do a lot more videos, got a lot of stuff going on. And I wanted to start off by talking about a very important subject that seems to have blown up on the internet over the last few weeks regarding the PlayStation 5 and Japan. And this is a subject that I personally have been dealing with over the last few months personally because, as you know, as I said before, I don't have a PlayStation 5. And there's a good reason for that, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. So we have noticed since the PlayStation 5 has launched in Japan that the sales numbers have been pretty low. It's actually been incredibly low at the point where there's been like weeks where it's only been about 2,000 systems sold or 5,000 systems sold. And the total number of systems sold pales in comparison to the rest of the world. Now, what this has caused has been there's been a lot of these articles that come out analyzing these figures, and people are talking about how the fact that this means that the PlayStation 5 is doomed in Japan, that it's on track to being the worst selling PlayStation of all time in Japan, and it's on track to make half the sales of PlayStation 4, which was below PlayStation 3 numbers by about 1 million, I believe, or less that, something like around that area. It was very similar numbers. Obviously, nowhere near the over 20 million sold PlayStation 2s in Japan during the big days of the PlayStation brand in Japan. But the reality is that the numbers have been low, and people have been trying to find out why that is. Now, I've seen people talk about all kinds of excuses. Things like, oh, the censorship issue with Sony of America taking over the PlayStation business and frustrating Japanese gamers and developers is an issue there. Now, that is an issue, but I am 100% certain that's not what's causing this problem here. I've seen some people say the XO switch, the button switch that, of course, blew up on Japanese internet, where people were very frustrated with the fact that Sony has decided to make it worldwide that the X button is the confirm button and not the circle button in Japan, like it always has been. Again, it is something that's frustrating Japanese gamers. That's not the main reason that's happening. There is a very clear answer to why the PlayStation 5's sales numbers have been so low. And if people knew this, or if people were reporting this more, I think that there would be a very different commentary going on, especially by a lot of the people that post on forums and post online about the PlayStation 5. And that's very simply this. The reason the PlayStation 5 sales numbers are so low here in Japan is that simply there is absolutely no stock here whatsoever, just like the rest of the world, but even more importantly, far less stock of PlayStation 5 games and systems, I should say systems, not just games, have actually been shipped to Japan. A very, very low number of systems have been sent here, while the majority of systems have been sent to the West for the Western launches as well. Now, we know for a fact that this is something that's gone on before. It happened during the PlayStation 3 era. There were a lot of complaints in those days by Japanese retailers that they did not get enough systems to deal with demand because they sent more systems to the West. We know with the PlayStation 4 launch was delayed in Japan from November to February. The reason given was that it was apparently they wanted more time for Japanese games to be ready for the system launch. In the end, I believe there was only 2 main titles that came out that were Japanese specific at that time for the launch, which I believe was one of the Dynasty Warrior games and one of the Yakuza games. But the reality was that they wanted to get more systems into the West for the Christmas shopping season. And so the numbers that came out in February, they were able to bring out a lot more systems, and they were able to handle the demand for the PlayStation 4 launch, but it was delayed many months, and many Japanese gamers were very frustrated by that. Well, this time, again, they have sent far less systems than they've ever sent before for a PlayStation launch. And let me tell you something right now. I have been trying for 2 months to get a PlayStation 5. Now, one of the things that I can say for my situation is that I actually have had a PlayStation 5 ordered and, well, I should say back ordered through Amazon Japan since November. In fact, November 18th, almost 2 months. Now, you're probably wondering, how can I get an order and why is it back ordered and why is it back ordered for 2 months? Well, the main problem is that Amazon, when they did their sale the day on November 18th, they're one of the few companies that are actually selling the system first come, first serve whenever they put them online. Apparently, they may have oversold the system and oversold by quite a bit. And so for the last 2 months, they've been slowly shipping out systems to people on the list that ordered that day. And unfortunately, it's a very long list. And unfortunately, also, because there's so few systems coming in, they're not able to fulfill all those orders. And so people like myself who ordered that system on November 18th and have been very happy we were able to get one, we're still waiting. And we still have no idea when we're going to get it. We don't know if we're going to get it this week. We don't know if we're going to get it next month or even later in the year. We really don't know because they simply have not talked about it. Now, the most sales of the system has actually happened through lotteries. And what is that? You say, what are the lottery situation? Well, basically these stores, the electronic stores and the department stores that are selling the system, they're all selling the systems online. No one wants to sell the system in stores because of coronavirus. They don't want lineups in Japan, of course, because they want to keep social distancing, and also because there's just simply not enough systems. And so most of the stores, with the exception of Amazon and Rakuten, which are putting up the systems online once they have them and they sell out within like seconds, most stores are doing lotteries where you enter a lottery and you wait, and if you win, you get to buy it. And if you lose, well, too bad. Here's the problem, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. The odds of winning these lotteries are absolutely unbelievably high. Most stores will say that there's something like 100 times or 200 times more applications than systems available. I've seen reports particularly regarding people who went to the lottery system through Geo being a national video retail chain that does video rentals and also sells video games. It's a very big rental, very big company in Japan. And they do lotteries for their systems. And in the rural areas of Japan, they were being told, people that asked the people at the store, what was the situation like? They were being told in the rural areas, our store had 100 applications for 1 or 2 systems. And that's just in the rural areas. Imagine if you're in Tokyo or Osaka or Kyoto or Sapporo, big cities that would have all these people in it, and they're all trying to fight for the same systems. And so what you're having is simply put, there is an incredibly low number of systems. And Sony has shipped very low numbers in Japan because they want more systems for the West. They view Japan as a crumbling market. It's a market that's been dominated by Nintendo. For Christmas, Nintendo just completely dominated sales charts. I believe 1 week they had 29 of 30 games were only Nintendo Switch games in the top 30. And another week, I think it was all 30 games were Nintendo Switch games. So Sony has kind of looked at the Japanese market with a lot less interest and excitement, particularly the Sony American branch. And so you're seeing these less systems out there, and so the sales numbers are low, and so then everyone is saying, well, Sony is absolutely in trouble in Japan. But the reality is, go on Twitter, go on Japanese Twitter, go online and see people's reactions to the situation, and you will see frustration and anger and just disappointment and sadness because people want to buy this system and they can't. And the only option really for most people, if they really want one now, is they have to go to Yahoo Auctions or go to Mercari or go to some other place that will sell the system for incredible amounts of money, like 100,000 yen, which is like over $1,000. And that is still like the actual main price. And I can tell you even that some stores in my local area actually do have PlayStation 5 systems on the shelf, but because they're like a so-called recycle shop, they have them new, but they're selling them for 90,000 yen, about $900. This is just like a local store. They're literally just like overselling the system price, and it's causing a lot of anger and frustration. Now, apparently, there might be some fixing of this in the next couple of weeks. One thing we found out over the New Year holiday was that Sony has decided to discontinue almost every single PlayStation 4 on the market in Japan, except for one unit. There'll be like one 500 gigabyte unit, I believe, of the PlayStation 5. I was going to say PlayStation 4, I should say. Not PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 units. have been discontinued, and so there's no more PS4 Pros, no more PS4 systems except one. And even if you can find one, it's very hard to find. They did that so they could open up more production ability for Japanese gamers, Japanese systems to be made for Japanese gamers. We've also heard rumors online that apparently Sony's going to start shifting more systems from the West to Japan and Asia starting at the end of January. But we have yet to see that happen. Of course, we're in the middle of January, but it will be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks. As the weeks pass by, will the supply issues be fixed in Japan? Because quite honestly, the supply issues, of course, all over the world are in real flux and in real problematic situation, but Japan numbers are very, very low. So I really want to say this right now. As someone who lives in Japan and someone who has looked at the Japanese gaming scene for a very long time, and someone who's actually talked to people repeatedly about video games in Japan, about video game systems, yes, no doubt, Nintendo rules this country. The Nintendo Switch is the hottest thing out there, but this constant talking point I keep hearing that PlayStation is dead, and that PlayStation 5 is going to be the worst selling system of all time or something, or that Microsoft is going to somehow come in and take over, is nothing but bollocks. It's just complete other craziness that doesn't make any sense. Complete other BS, basically. Let me tell you something right now. Microsoft's doing even worse than Sony right now, and it's no surprise. They're selling nothing. They're selling almost no system whatsoever. You can't even find a store that even sells it, let alone find one that has one in stock, and they don't even send any of them here. So they're never going to come and take over this country. It's simply not going to happen. And Sony, of course, yes, they need to focus more on the Japanese market. It was once one of their most important markets, and it still is an important market. But the fact that they're literally making mistakes like this is hurting them in the long term. And it's not the only mistake they're making. There is a major reasons why Sony has fallen in Japan, and it is definitely something that has been a long-term issue. Certainly the censorship issues are issues. Certainly the lack of Japanese games for a larger variety of the audience that you see with Nintendo Switch is an issue. Certainly not listening to Japanese gamers wants, particularly with the XO button thing, that's an issue. There's a lot of issues there, but really right now, I think that people in the West who are looking at all these numbers and are trying to come up with some idea of what's going to happen in the future, please keep in mind that the reality is, simply put, Japan got short-sighted heavily on the PlayStation 5 launch and since PlayStation 5 launch on units shipped. There is way more demand for this system than they have. And it's so bad, I should mention, they've barely shown commercials for the system. They only recently started showing commercials more often on television for the PlayStation 5 because simply you can't go into the store and buy it, and you can't really win one on a lottery unless you're absolutely lucky. So keep that in mind. It's way too early to decide, or sorry, not decide, but way too early to kind of predict how the PlayStation 5 is going to do in Japan. I think it's going to do fine. I think it's going to do very similar to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3. It's going to be mid-range numbers, 8, 9 million. That's fine for Sony. I think the long term they're going to be fine. They're going to have great franchises, but that's the reason I wanted to say that. As someone who lives in Japan, I think it's important. So there's my commentary there. But anyway, I've been gone for a while. The main reason I've been gone, I want to say why. I've been playing a lot of games in order to get ready for the end of the year and in this new year. So I'm going to tell you right now, I got some videos coming up in the next week. I'm going to talk finally about my top 10 games of 2020, not 2021. I'm going to talk about my extra awards. I'm going to have awards for things like best system or best hardware and most disappointing thing of video games. And I'm going to have a look into the future of what games I'm looking forward in 2021. And I'm going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. I've finished the game. I've played through the whole thing on my launch PS4, and I have a lot to talk about. And I think it's going to be very surprising for some people. Especially with all the news coming of Cyberpunk since its launch, and even today with some information about the future of Cyberpunk. I definitely want to do that, and we're going to do that in the next couple of days. So if you've been subscribed to this channel and wondering where I've been, that's where I've been. Sorry I haven't gone, but I'm back. And more to come, and I hope that you keep watching. If you like this video, please like it, and please share, because definitely people should share this information about the PlayStation 5 around, because simply put, it is impossible to find a PlayStation 5 in Japan. and there's simply just not enough systems. And anyway, until later this week, look forward to the Cyberpunk review I'm going to be doing. Look forward to the end of the year awards and the next year anticipated videos, and I got more coming after that as well. Until then, take care, see ya, and have a great day, everyone.
Tune in next time for my video on Cyberpunk and on my best games of 2020.